Hello and welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, the Scottish American football podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. And this is the Super Bowl preview crew for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the third year in a row that we have done one of these, and this is the third year in a row that we are talking about the Chiefs. I am delighted to say that I'm joined by a resident Big Chief in Hamilton, Studs. Studs, welcome to the podcast. How are we?
How we doing? I was raging that I would possibly miss this one, but I appreciate you boys being flexible with me so as I could make it on and sit and chat with you guys again about another Super Bowl Chiefs appearance.
Listen, it's amazing, that big petite lip that you had. We had to make sure that we squeezed you in, buddy. You always get the Arrowhead Invitational. This is the Irn-Cru Invitational for the Chiefs, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Someone who's another
squeeze in.
another returning hero is Brad Simcox. Brad, thank you very much for joining us. This is just a wee regular thing that we do now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day again. We're back again. Yeah. I love coming on this podcast, mate, because it means we win a Super Bowl the next couple of days later. So I'm all the time. If you want me, I'm here, mate. I'm back on the Gridiron Crew for sure.
I like it. Do you know what? Because I host the Chiefs one, I actually get a wee bit of kind of supporting you guys. So I get a little bit of a warm glow whenever it happens, and go, I played a part in this. Because the Seahawks aren't getting there anytime soon. We've got a wee while to go before we get there. Our final guest tonight is Ross Calderwood at Your Name, Your No on X on Twitter. Fantastic artist, and someone that is only on here because he was wearing his Chiefs gear down the Trongate in Glasgow, and I ran up to him and gave him one of our cards, and I'm delighted to say he got back in touch. Yeah, delighted to say he got back in touch and is joining us on the podcast tonight. So making your debut, Ross, welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast. How are we?
All good. Yeah, I'm excited to yak about NFL. I've spent too many hours watching Talking Heads on YouTube, so it's amazing to be one for a little while.
Absolutely, it's a doddle. You'll be absolutely fine. How did you get into the NFL though in the first place, and why the Chiefs?
Yeah, I love American sports. I had a little bit of a Giants spell in the early 2000s. I was gifted a Jeremy Shockey jersey, so that kind of spiked the interest a little bit, and from that I'd started watching regularly. I think after Coughlin left the Giants, I was looking for another cool coach and quarterback to follow, so Mahomes came along eventually and made it interesting.
You're a glory hunter then?
Honestly, yes.
Right in there, Keith. What are you saying, lad?
And I'll put it right out there early doors. I'll mention the S word because we all love Taylor Swift too. So,
absolutely,
I love her. She's great.
That's not a bad word. That's not a guilty secret on this podcast. We are all massive fans of Miss Taylor there. Guys, it's been another juggernaut of a year for you guys. You've maybe not hit the heights that you have done in past years, not being as sexy to watch as you have been, but you know what to do. You know how to get to the big dance at the end of the season, and you've done that superbly so far. Going to start with your last game that you played when you actually broke the hearts of the Bills, 32-29 to the Chiefs against the Bills. One long throw from Josh Allen that was MVP Josh Allen, might add, that was nearly taken in to get that extra 10 yards for the field goal that could have tied the game, but it wasn't to be because the Chiefs and Spagnuolo's defense just did the job. And the first time, Studs, you probably want to mention this. It's the first time this season that he's did what?
I'm trying to think now.
Got over 30 points.
Oh, over 30, yeah. I predicted it as well. I should have knew that.
You did.
I was the only one to predict that we would go over 30 points. Listen, it was Spagnuolo again, just at the perfect time, dialing up that safety corner blitz that we know is coming at some point in the game. and he just waited until the perfect moment, and Josh Allen had absolutely zero time to react. Credit to him for getting the ball off, but I think even if Kincaid caught it, I think he's still going to be short anyway. So there was no dramas. It was getting turned over anyway. So let's not kid on if he made that throw that the Bills would suddenly go and get something, because it was 4th down anyway. But yeah, Spags, perfect timing again, as he's done throughout his time in KC. He just seems to be dialing up the perfect bit of defence for the perfect situation in the game. So we say in Spags we trust for a reason.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Ross, what about you?
Sorry, I was going to say, I wonder. There was a failed arc on the pass, and Kincaid obviously got close. It slapped him on the forearm. In my heart, I love Travis Kelce. I think he makes that catch. If you think of there was a play, it was like 3rd and 5 in I think the second quarter against the Ravens in the championship, the conference championship last year, where Mahomes threw off balance and Kelce had to basically catch the ball off the blades of grass. But there's a really kind of, it's one of my illustrations that I've done. Like beautiful, just athleticism, and he's a big guy, but I don't mean to kind of, he doesn't need any more smoke up his butt, but I think the Chiefs would have a guy on the roster that makes that catch. I think TK would have.
Yeah, is that the one where he basically lays out almost full?
Kelce's like proper kind of arced, eyes on the prize, balls just perfectly into his hands. Because Kincaid was there, like the ball literally kind of scuffed him on the forearms, but I don't know. That's one of those things where you look at, it's all those little details, and often it's the last play of the game, just because that's how the Chiefs do it. We talk about so many one-score games. Like, I can come on to later, but the one slight worry is that maybe we've burned all our last gasp efforts, but who knows?
But hey, the negativity is my job. I'm the one to keep you guys grounded. You guys have to be the positive Pete's here. You have to big it up. Were you confident going into the game, Brad, the championship, even though you were going against the Bills and a rejuvenated team, despite some of their injuries and the Stephon Diggs leaving? They had been scoring for fun. They were free flowing. James Cook had been doing well on the ground as well. And the Chiefs kind of seemed to be stuttering, as we mentioned in the preview to it, that they hadn't scored over 30 points and kind of thought that you were going to have to if you were going to compete and stay with the Bills. Were you confident for this one?
I think I would have been more confident if we got the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. I think a lot of people were thinking that it was probably a better matchup for the Chiefs, where the Bills have been built to beat the Chiefs, and they do in the regular season quite regularly. But I think I've said this before, even in last year's podcast. It was, for some reason, what it is, it's the Bills in the playoffs, so it's Josh Allen in the playoffs just seem to not get it done. And a lot of people can argue that maybe the Chiefs save all of the best stuff for the playoffs, which I could probably go with that. You know, they seem to assess a lot of the players over the course of the season against other teams, and then use them against you later on. And we've seen that time and time again. And I think there was actually a play where Andy Reid used it from I can't remember which team they played against in the season, but it worked. It really worked, and he used it twice. He flipped the play, and it was really effective, and that's obviously helped us win the game. So, you know, it's Andy Reid at the end of the day. He can pull out a play from back in the 70s or 80s or something like that, and he can use it. And in fact, it actually surprised me as well that they used the 65 toss power trap play, which is the one that won the Super Bowl IV for the Chiefs, and nobody knew. nobody recognised it. Somebody asked in the press conference, said, "Oh, for the Super Bowl, you're going to use 65 toss power trap," and he went, "Well, we used it against the Bills," and they were like, "Did you?" It was such like a, no, and everybody was scrambling around trying to find which play it was, and sure enough, he used that play. So confidence-wise, I think Chiefs fans can be quite confident. Being the repeat champions is obviously elevated that confidence massively at the minute. And no matter who you play in the playoffs, the Chiefs seem to just, they find a way. They find a way. If it's one score, if it's one knee, if it's they could win it on a safety. I think a lot of Chiefs fans now have accepted that the fact that the offense isn't going to be the one that's always going to be, high octane like we used to see back in 2019. I think they've really kind of rested on the fact that the defense is just as good as what the offense is. But it's nice to see that the offense racked up 30 points. Yeah. That's a good settling thing going into the Super Bowl because it quietly concerns quite a few Chiefs fans that this high octane offense hasn't really been firing on all cylinders. But like we said, they just seem to find a way.
Brad mentioned their studs that Andy Reid, and actual genius it is, can pick out plays from way back and just leave you absolutely gobsmacked at the style that he has. Do you think this game has a little bit of extra significance for him because he's going up against his old team in the Philadelphia Eagles, 1990 2012, I think it was, he was there?
Yeah, I think he'll always hold a special place for the Eagles. I don't think that'd be any secret. He always speaks very glowingly about all his past positions, whether it's when he was with the Green Bay Packers working with guys like Brett Favre, or his time in the Eagles when he's been working with, again, like Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb. He always speaks very highly of these teams whenever he's been there. He is just a classy coach. He's never got anything bad to say. So I think it will hold special significance. I think because he never quite got over the hump with the Eagles, got to the dance before, but he never got that Lombardi trophy in his hands. Whereas when he's came to the Chiefs, he's got the quarterback that he wants and he's getting that Lombardi in his hands. I think it will be all the sweeter if he does do it a second time against the Eagles.
Ross, going to move on to your season highlights then, because it's been a subdued season. I think people have said, you mentioned earlier on about the amount of one-score games that the Chiefs have won this season, and throughout the year we've talked about how Brad, you've gotten your title there, that you're in your villain era. The Chiefs have become the hate team. I likened them to Manchester United of the 90s and 90s, just how dominant they seem to be just now. But not just that they don't have to be incredibly entertaining and firing all cylinders. They just know how to win. They know how to grind out results, and that's what makes trophy winners. That's what makes Super Bowl winners, championship winners, and this team just seem to have it. So what has been one of your highlights of the season so far?
Yeah, you mentioned football there. It's almost like the 1-0 to the Arsenal from.
That's true.
Listen, the thing with the Chiefs this year, in particular, with the one-score wins, is that I think more than winning the game on the last play, we've saved the game on the last play. I honestly have to say that the field goal block against the Broncos probably. I mean, the likely toe out on opening night was amazing because late at night, it was a Friday morning, I was ready to go to bed before work for a few hours, and you just sprang to life because it was just incredible. I love those margins in the NFL, but I think the Leo Chenal field goal block, it's just such an explosive thing. But again, you can kind of drill down into how the Chiefs coaching staff and analysts knew that there was a weak point there, and they go for it. Same with the kind of stuff in the tush push with the Bills. Find how did they make that successful, and then try and break it down. But yeah, winning with the field goal, you're thinking it was pretty much a chip shot as well. It wasn't. I think it was a 35-yarder, something like that, mid-30s. You're thinking that's an automatic 3 points and that's game over. But to make the block is, I think it's something like a 5% or a 7% play. But that gets you out of your seat or gets you jumping out of bed if you're watching tucked up in the small hours.
Magic. Brad, what about yourself?
Well, just touching on what Ross was saying, really, the Isaiah likely tore out of bounds was a particular highlight for me because I was actually there, literally right in front of it. I was there in week 1 just to see the banner drop, and I ended up seeing a really fantastic game at the same time, which was always a bonus. But
were you there with your laser pen, like shining it in his eye, and he just stumbles out?
Well, if I could have, I'd have pushed him out bounds myself. But I was that close. I was about 4 seats away, and I thought, God, I could be on the field here. But yeah,
bending the white lines with your Jedi skills.
Yeah. But that I just felt after that. Ross said it as well. The adrenaline. As everybody's walking out the stadium was just like, oh my God, here we go again. The three-peat's on. And even after just that week 1 game, I think a lot of people were thinking that, we can actually do this three-peat because Ravens they're no joke. They're a hell of a team. And, Lamar Jackson was, I remember saying when I was watching the game, I've never really seen Lamar Jackson in the flesh play. He's so elusive. He is such a dream to watch, honestly. And I became a fan of Lamar Jackson after that game because the work rate that guy has, and still for the Chiefs to come away with the win, that told me that we still have that championship swagger that was mentioned way back in 2019. We've got that championship swagger. We know that the regular season is just a regular season. There's a joke out there at the moment that the AFC Championship game is the start of the season for the Chiefs and Mahomes, and it really is. It does feel like that, and I think it's taken us quite a bit of time to get used to the fact that the regular season doesn't really matter anymore. Because I remember the days where you were going, "All right, new season, hope we get into the playoffs." And it was getting like so exciting to see if your team got into the playoffs. Now we're almost taking it for granted in a way. And again, it sounds cocky, but that's where we are right now. It's the regular season just feels like a preseason, and it's just make sure you just get the win no matter what. Whether you win with an inch or a mile, it's winning's winning, isn't it? It's a quote, obviously, Fast and Furious there, but. I think even though the week 1 highlight for me is obviously a personal highlight, I think overall the fact that we're now at this stage now where the regular season doesn't really matter, that's been a highlight for me because I've learned to live with that. I've learned to live with the fact that regular season, I'm not excited by it anymore. I'm ready for the playoffs, and I think that's probably been my kind of turning point highlight this season so far, I think.
I love that. I love that Brad saying that the regular season doesn't really matter to you, and it was 15-2.
Yeah. 15-1. You don't really count the last game because that was our backups and third stringers.
I don't tell the Broncos, you'll hurt the feelings.
What about you, Studs? Then what's your personal highlight from the season?
For me, I think Ross probably touched on one of my highlights was the Leo Chanel one. But again, there's been quite a few. Even seeing the Raiders completely muff that snap when they were driving down the field, things like that were hilarious because it's against your rivals. But one of the ones that sticks out for me was the 4th and 1 at the 49ers when Mahomes absolutely levels Malik Mustafa. And then you see the pictures after it in the end zone to get the touchdown. Yeah. He absolutely trucks him. And then you see the photos after it, and Malik Mustafa is so ripped, it's unbelievable. And then you've got the comparison to the Mahomes dad bod next to him.
Dad bod for the win.
Yeah. And you're seeing him as Ross said, you see them looking down on him as if, what you doing down there? And it was just unbelievable to see Mahomes doing that, and how he never won angry runs on Good Morning Football is beyond me that week, because you don't see quarterbacks truck people like that, and it was just as Ross said, it's moments like that that get you out of the seat. You don't want to see Mahomes taking hits, but when he's leveling someone,
he was giving hits out.
Aye, yeah. Exactly. You're all for it if he's dishing them out. You just don't want to see him take them.
Brad, I'm going to come back to you. We're going to move on now to the Super Bowl. I think we'll go back to the one from 2 years ago. So the game where you defeated the Philadelphia Eagles, just get the 38-35 it was, on the 12th of February, 2023. What was your memories of that? What was your big memories from that one? What happened the previous year? This is we're now going into this is it fifth Super Bowl in like 7 seasons or something like that? You guys are
sixth, is it? Something like that.
Fifth and sixth.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, fifth in 6 seasons. I remember actually we were in a bar in Dublin. A few of the lads from the UK Chiefs group had gone over there just for a bit of a, you know what, we'll go over, we'll cause a bit of trouble with the locals and stuff, and sing a few songs and stuff like that. And I've got to say, the I think it's the Woolshed in Dublin.
Right.
If you ever need to watch a Super Bowl game, you have to watch it there, because it is such a fantastic venue. There was tons of people there that were all representing every single team there, and there were songs going back and forth. We had a little corner with a few Chiefs fans watching our own screen, and we were getting absolute pelters at people. You know, they were hating the hell out of us on that game. And I remember sitting at halftime watching Rihanna, thinking, "Well, it was a good run." I was thinking, it is a good run. You know, it doesn't matter if we get beaten in another Super Bowl, does it? You know, honestly, I was flat. I think a lot of us were. Mahomes was obviously injured, that we thought was injured, and we felt that was it. You know, the game's over. The Eagles looked dominant in the first half, absolutely dominant, and you know, Jalen Hurts was going to be the worthy MVP of that game. And I don't know what they gave them at halftime in that locker room, but it was an absolute it was a blowtorch moment for us. I think the whole place was erupting. It was just that corner of the Chiefs fans in the Dublin at the Dublin meetup. I think everybody was stunned and shocked. I think the Eagles players probably were as well. That suddenly the Chiefs just came out of the blocks, and really kind of dominated the second half and took it to them. I feel bad. I do actually feel bad for Jalen Hurts, because I thought he was fantastic. I think out of all the quarterbacks I've seen over the years in Super Bowls, that was probably one of the best performances I've ever seen from a quarterback. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts was absolutely phenomenal. People always questioning whether he's up for the big games. He was up for that big game. He was just unlucky at the end of the day. But my God, it was unforgettable Super Bowl for me. And it was basically a game of two halves.
Yeah, I vaguely remember, Studs, your face tripping you. Just before I left, I was home in time to see Rihanna's performance with my son had stayed up. He was watched it, and my wife was actually still up as well. So the three of us watched Rihanna and then watched the rest of the game. But I do remember, Studs, you were a bit deflated, but my goodness, you made up for it the next morning in the chat.
Absolutely, I wasn't going to let it lie. It was. As Brad said, obviously talking about when he was in Dublin, I think all Chiefs fans get in at half time, 10 points down. Wales were probably used to seeing us being at a deficit and not having that fear. There was just something about Jalen Hurts that night, and if ever there was, I know it has happened in the past, back in Super Bowl 5 or 6, where the losing QB's been named MVP. If ever there was a time to name a losing quarterback as an MVP. I know Brady had a good one against the Eagles as well, which some people will probably reference. But I mean, Jalen Hurts just seemed, particularly in the first half, seemed unstoppable. Obviously, had the fumble with Nick Bolton, which we returned for a touchdown. And again, Nick Bolton's another guy who could probably think himself unlucky. If he gets that other touchdown return, then you're probably looking at somebody like Nick Bolton, a defensive player, which doesn't happen very often, being MVP as well. So there was just, going into halftime, so flat. And then as soon as we got that Pacheco touchdown, you're kind of like, right, wait a minute. If the defence can start stopping them, or bend, don't break mentality, which is what we could have done in the third quarter. And then the fact that the Eagles gave up the same play twice for a touchdown just, again, completely flipped. I mean, Kadarius Toney's got a Super Bowl touchdown. Do you know what I mean? And to go even one step further, Sky Moore's got a Super Bowl touchdown. Do you know what I mean? And it's the fact that it was literally the exact same play. The Eagles just, as Brad said, maybe a little bit shocked, but it was just an unbelievable feeling once you got to that kind of final drive down the field, when you kind of knew you're like, right, we've got this, we're in control of this game, we're moving the ball, and then we put ourselves in a great position. So, and Butker did the rest.
Thank you, Rihanna.
Absolutely.
Ross, there's only been 7 occasions where a team has had double-digit comebacks in the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes has played in 3 of them. It's an incredible stat. It must just, knowing that you've got someone like that nothing phases them, that even at the most daunting of games, that the most pressure, double digits doesn't face him. He knows that he's got the team. He knows that he's got the ability to come back. Were you a believer that night before it happened at halftime, or was that your real moment when you realised that this guy he's special? He is GOAT contender.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously had, the team in general had the Super Bowl experience, and I think obviously were hurt by the losses the seasons before. They're just so hugely driven. I mean, the team's obviously changed slightly this season. We're 2 years down the line, but the draft class that made the difference that year are all, I think, pretty much still at the Chiefs, which obviously we're talking about this season. But the thing is, making it a 4-quarter game, like we've already spoken about, the one score wins, 10 points, yeah, your 2 scores, but there's always that, like in crossing sports over again, but in football, a 2-0 lead is always dicey because the other team has to go for it. And once they've got a goal, it's like, well, sod it, we might as well do it again. And I think it's that kind of balls to the wall sort of thing, where you're like, well, we're going to make it happen somehow. And that's where the kind of the diamonds shine. But making sure that everyone across the 53 men are still at it, still 100% come the 2-minute warning. That's just so crucial in Super Bowls in general, but with the Chiefs in particular, I don't think they're ever really going to blow anyone away. We've been close to it this season, but it's always been close. It's always been something that we've had to close out in the last quarter, and that's where you just have to have that commitment from the offense and the defense, and even on special teams, it's get in field goal range, make sure you're pinging them through the uprights, and all these points count. Yeah, it definitely.
You've got Butker there that, you've got Butker there that you know that you can rely on. Maybe not rely on to make you a decent piece or something nice for the kitchen. It doesn't sound as if he's good at that, but it sounds as if he's good at that. Ridiculous still. But the guy's good. dependable. That foot of his as well. Studs, let's then move us forward to last year's Super Bowl. You and I actually did the preview live in Glasgow last year, but unfortunately, I had my family were all run down with the flu, so I had to nip back home after it. But you stayed out to the wee hours of the morning to watch it in town. Caps off, I believe, in George Square. Is that right? Afterwards.
Yep. Absolutely, round George Square with my top off round the head, celebrating that one. So in the early hours of Glasgow, so I'm sure that was a sight for any of the locals. But
I'm sure there's a webcam. I'm sure there's a webcam, George.
There has to be.
Somebody will be checking. Somebody in America is just like, I wonder what's happening in Glasgow. I've not been back in years. Just log on.
The police must have been sitting watching the cameras killing themselves. We're not sending anybody, don't worry about it. He's not hurting anybody. But no, last year was, again, sitting watching it. It's what the Chiefs do. They make you want to pull your hair out at times. Again, make you go kind of bald. That's where I was going with that one, Ross. Cheers. But it was just when you get to that moment when, I think for me, it was literally the coin toss in overtime. And I was sitting with Dan, and the 49ers took the ball, and I just looked at him and I was like, what? Why are they taking the ball? And as soon as that moment hit, and even you hear it in the mic'd up with Mahomes as he's going back to the bench,
he was surprised, didn't he? He's surprised as well.
You could hear it in their voice. They literally knew that, like, we've got this. This is ours. And again, the defence had started to kind of grow into the game again. And when you hold them to that field goal, at that point, you're just like, right, the confidence is at an all-time high at that point. You've been driving the ball down the field the later the game got on, and to see McCall Hardman kind of making that catch, and I don't even think he realised that you can see it. He doesn't even realise what it means at that point. But again, Mahomes knew as Mahomes is charging over him.
Such an easy route as well.
Again, similar to the Eagles one, where it's just like he was left completely open. There was nobody went with him, and he just got in for the easiest of touchdowns. Hardman will never have an easier touchdown than that, and it was just a fantastic feeling. And the committee rooms was going, well, the Chiefs fans in it were going absolutely nuts, which was great.
Fantastic. Brad, what about yourself? Studs talked about the coin toss there, and I think one wee thread that we're seeing through these games is just how momentum shifts and how it changes. It was Pacheco getting that touchdown against the Eagles just after half time. It was the coin toss and the botched call that from the 49ers. It just seems to be something that you guys are really, really pick on, the mentality that just flows through the squad. Just the positivity is it's incredible. It's something that other teams really should maybe not be hating on, learning from and adapting to their own. What were your memories of the game last year then?
Yeah, it is very much to kind of a comparison to Manchester United. It's a Fergie 97th minute winner, isn't it? That's what it is. That seems to be the thing that the Chiefs have kind of mastered now. It is odd. It is strange, but it feels like the players almost thrive on it. That they know that, when the back's against the wall or the chips are down, they know that they can pull themselves out of it, and it's almost like they're daring themselves. Can we just make it a little bit more dire first before we actually go and make a game of it out of this? That's what it feels like.
I think it sharpens Mahomes. I think Mahomes is a bit of a sadist in that way.
I think you're right, Ross. I think it just sharpens the fact that they're like, okay, they're bringing their A game, and we knew that was going to be the case all the way through that season anyway. And when you look at that run all the way up to that Super Bowl, the Chiefs went through probably one of the most difficult on the road runs in the playoffs to get to that Super Bowl. I think they thought then that they were invincible anyway, because they'd gone through Baltimore and they'd gone through Buffalo as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And when you think about it, you think when you've gone through two of those most hostile places and you come out with a win, I think it was just written in the cards for them. I think that no matter what was going to happen against the 49ers, they were going to win it. And it is that ruggedness, I think, a lot of the time that these players have built up, especially when you've got your players like Chris Jones and Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes, the players that have been there and done that, their energy literally drives through that team. And a lot of the players, even the rookies, kind of elevate themselves and thinking, these guys have done it. I'm going to follow what these guys are telling me to do. Yeah. And there's that respect there between them all, even from like the rookies, that, I'm going to just copy what they do and we'll be okay. And everybody relies on each other. And I think that is the key with a lot of what this Chiefs team has built. They've still got the core, and I've mentioned the backbone of this team. You've got your Chris Jones, you've got your Kelsey, you've got your Patrick Mahomes, but also it even goes back to like Justin Reed and players like that. McDuffie's even coming out as one of those backbone kind of players. But then it's not just that. You've got the backbone of the staff as well. You've got Andy Reid, you've got Matt Nagy, you've got Spagnuolo. There's Hall of Famers wherever you look all over this team, and we're all over this franchise. So it's not difficult for the rookies and the players that have just come in off the sofa, i.e. Kareem Hunt, who can just go, I can slot back into this and I feel okay, I feel invincible. So I think that's the big advantage we've got going into this Super Bowl, that we've been tried and tested even throughout the season, even throughout the playoffs, and here we are.
Ross, you mentioned there that the Mahomes being a bit of a masochist, and it was something that we certainly saw in the Netflix series of quarterbacks, when you saw the grueling sessions that he put himself through just to make sure that he was prepared for anything, in any of games, in any situation. He twists and torts his knees to weird and wonderful angles, just so that the body's got that muscle memory to know that if it ever happens in a game, he finally can play through it. But like you say, he just thrives on the atmosphere of being like, maybe not the underdog, but being hated and being like dismissed. It's as if he just has that real chip on his shoulder, and he just loves to prove people wrong. This year, we talked about it might not be as tantalising a team. However, he's built up that siege mentality. Again, something that you could compare to Alex Ferguson and what he did with Aberdeen and Man United as well. Nobody likes us. We don't care. We're going to actually put on a performance, and we're going to do it for ourselves and for our fans. What have you made of? What did you make of it then last season, the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a good pairing, a good matchup with the Niners. I thought they had a great season. I probably sound a bit of a broken record and only know a couple of players, but Leo Chenal again had a blocked field goal in the Super Bowl, which was it a field goal or was it an extra point?
Extra point. He got his fingers on.
But if you think about that, if that extra point goes through, then the Niners win by a point. And that was was before halftime, the second quarter. I can't remember, but like it's just so critical. Every play really matters. Like it really does matter every down, and that's I think what kind of shines through. It's keeping sharp on every call, making sure you're not throwing interceptions in the end zone, which the Chiefs have been guilty of before. Mahomes, obviously, last season, you could see the surprise in him after the coin toss. I would love to know the coin toss. I'd love to know, was that just a total error?
Yeah.
Was there some sort of breakdown in the understanding of the overtime rules? I don't know, but like you say, you heard it in his voice. They want the ball. Like he's running back the sideline. Reed must be saying, "What happened there?" But again, I don't believe that the Chiefs staff are going to allow the players to put themselves in that wrong position. I don't believe they would allow them to get it wrong.
Yeah,
but
they seem to be much better coached.
Yeah,
it's finer details, isn't it? It's everything. Even on the special teams, it's the finest details that the Chiefs cover, and that's what you get with a Hall of Fame or future Hall of Fame, head coach and defensive coordinator, and you're gonna get that across to your players that everything, every single person on that team counts, every single play on that counts, every single yard counts, or even toe.
How are you going to win it this year, though? What is it going to take to get this much fated three-peat? Studs, who's going to have to rise above everything else to do it? Who's going to be your key players? Who in the offense, who in the defense is going to really step up and be the heroes for this lift this Lombardi again?
I was hoping you'd go to Ross or Brad first on this one, rather than come to me.
Whatever Flood says.
For me, it sounds like a really obvious answer, but in terms of winning the game, you're looking, from a defensive standpoint, you're looking at stopping Saquon Barkley. It's the thing that we've seen all season. We know every team's tried to stop him. He seems to just, a lot like kind of Derrick Henry and these kind of guys, just seems to chip away at teams and then eventually gets that big run. But again, you're coming up against a Chiefs defense which has been excellent against the run all season. These guys in the defensive line have really thrived on stopping that. So for me, defensively, that's kind of where we need to be. I think keys on our offense, I'm going to go with a couple of kind of probably different options in terms of, I think Joe Tooney and Trey Smith are going to be massive for us. Joe Tooney's obviously shifted out to left tackle from guard. We know he's a future Hall of Famer guard based on what he's done with the Patriots and the Chiefs so far. He's slotted out to left tackle and really filled that hole for us this year, which was a problem earlier on in the season. There's no getting away from it. Kingsley Suamaitea hasn't really panned out this year. Hopefully that is just a rookie thing and he picks up next year.
Mature.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Trey Smith is going to be going up against Jalen Carter on that defensive line for the most part. I think Jalen Carter comes off that side more. I don't think they move him around very much like we do with Jones. So I think the Smith versus Carter matchup is going to be fascinating. And I do think Trey Smith is going to earn the massive contract he's going to get this year, whether it's with us or somewhere else. Hopefully it's with us, because again, last year after the celebration parade, I think he's loved in Kansas City for what he done. So for me, those are going to be our key guys. I think Trey Smith and Joe Tooney on offense.
What about yourself, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, against the run, I think I'm right. I love my stats, but I'm crap with numbers and I have a terrible memory. I'm sure that
you'll fit in nicely with the rest of the crew.
I think the only rushing over 100 yards in a game that we've conceded this season was Jackson in game one. I think Henry in that game got almost 70 yards, but since then, all of the kind of main running backs that we've come up against haven't got more than 60. So if we can get out of the game with Saquon only having got 60 or 70 yards, I think there's a good chance that we would be on the positive side of the result.
I think Spags in playoffs is only allowed a 100-yard rusher once or maybe zero. I can't remember, but a Spags-led defense in the playoffs is allowed at very little as well.
Yeah, I think I can see Saquon certainly scoring. I think he's been full of magic all season. I don't think we'll get another backwards leapfrog, but even in the last game, you saw him busting through for what was a 60 or 70 yard run, touchdown with a spin, and like he is magic, and I think he'll make something magic happen. I feel just as strongly that someone on the Chiefs will do the same. the defense is going to be important, but I don't think you can stop Barkley. I think you slow him up, and the same with Hurts. I can see them scoring a tush push as well. The key, if it's possible, keep them at middle distance, third down. Sorry, because we've had our luck. Again, this is my pessimism, but we've had our luck stopping two tush pushes 2 weeks ago. Does lightning continue to strike? We've had a few other cases of lightning repeating to strike this season, and I don't want all of that to run out. I'll try and get an answer. I think Reid always finds a way to get guys in the game that maybe haven't shown. You spoke about Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore having Super Bowl touchdowns. Like, you would never have conceived that. We've got weapons on the offense that you can imagine scoring touchdowns. I could see Pacheco somehow having something special happen. He's had such bad luck with the injury this season, and Hunt has done an amazing job, mainly on short yardages. Like, his average, I think, per carry is like 4 or 5 yards tops. Pacheco, I'm willing him to bust something out, along with everyone else. Worthy, I want Worthy to be magic. I want Kelsey to be magic. I want D-Hop to get a Super Bowl touchdown. Get Hollywood on the go as well. Like, there's guys there that can do damage, but I keep rambling. Another thing that will be important is just being efficient in the end zone, whether that's field goals or touchdowns. Obviously, touchdowns would be better, but we don't want to be kicking the ball away. Ariza's a good punter, and he'll put them down in the 20, but don't give Philly a chance to go 80 yards. I just think get ahead and just stay ahead. Even if it's only by 3 points. Like, my heart's already like palpitating. Might as well be another few 48 hours of
it. Brad, just building on what Ross was saying there, and going from the defense to the offense, and it was the running backs I was actually going to ask you about, was the return of Isaiah Pacheco after some injury setbacks, and Kareem Hunt coming in. Have they done enough? Do you think that is a really good tandem that you've got there? I also notice you've got Samaje Perine there, who used to be with the Bengals. If you're saying that Andy Reid has a knack of getting people who are not main stars and getting them a Super Bowl touchdown, I'm sticking a $5 on Perine then to get a wee TD down in the game there in New Orleans. What have you made of the running back this situation with the Chiefs this year? How's that helped get you to where you are now?
I think it was looking dire at the beginning of the season, because obviously when Pacheco went injured, it was a situation where it was, we needed someone quickly, and there was a prime running back right there who was previously on the Chiefs, but obviously left under a dark cloud, and a lot of fans wanted him back, and I think the Chiefs listened to that and thought, you know what, if the fans are willing to take him back, then let's go with it. And literally plucked Kareem Hunt off the sofa, and he's just been, I would say, he's the team's MVP this year, because he really steadied that running back room so much. But it also ensured that the reliability there was just, okay, if Mahomes is spluttering or the offense is spluttering, hand it off to Kareem Hunt, and he would find an extra yard just with the way he runs. He trucks defenders, he's power in his legs. It just made sure that, it is though, if it is a game of those inches, he will get you those inches and more. And it's great that we've got Pacheco back as well. He's obviously got the Super Bowl experience as well, which is obviously going to be key in this. It's going to help Kareem Hunt, because he's going to be nervous, because we've all seen the video of Kareem Hunt sat in the cop car when he was at Cleveland when he got arrested, and he said, I shouldn't even be here. I should be in a Super Bowl. And, a lot of that resonated with a lot of people, that, he was clearly someone who was kind of remorseful about the situation he put himself in, and he's made mistakes and he's understood that. And I think having him back in this team and getting him to a Super Bowl, I think there's a lot of people on that roster, and obviously in Chiefs Kingdom, that really wants him to get that ring. It would be a fantastic story. I know there's still a lot of haters probably still don't believe that he should be even in the team, never mind at the Super Bowl. But I think it doesn't matter at this moment in time. It's he was a young kid at the time, made his mistakes, and he's now here with a chance to kind of add a bit of redemption to it, I think. So it's good that we've got him, and it's great that we've got him, and it's great that we've got Pacheco back now. So I can see a bit more of a 1-2 punch with them both. They're both very different style, though. I mean, Pacheco's very much angry runs. He's obviously pretty quick, but I think Hunt can be that third down back as well, which makes sure that he punches through and gets the yards that you need. So it could be that they open up P. Ryan. It could be that. It could be just one of those disguised players that we're so much used to seeing. And it could be, like you said, it could just be one of those players, those unsung heroes that we see time and time again in this Chiefs team that just comes up with the goods. We've seen it with Kadarius Toney with his punt return that he did, and it's things like that I've said before. It just resonates throughout the team that. If a player makes a play and they've just been somebody who's been, sat on a special team or something like that, and then all of a sudden it lifts the rest of the team, you can tell there's a family element to it, a family feel to this roster. So offensively, I think the running back room is as strong as it'll ever be, and I think. That's not going to give us any problems. What I think might give us some problems is making sure that we've got Mahomes has got enough time on the ball. That Eagles pass rush is pretty devastating as well. So we'll see how that plans out.
You mentioned Mahomes there getting time on the ball and being protected. It would be remiss of me not to bring up something that many other fans throughout the league have talked about all season and for the past couple of years. And I'd love to hear your opinions on the thoughts that the Chiefs are favoured, especially Patrick Mahomes is favoured by the refs and the wonderful yellow flags that come out for non-hits and for calls that could be called dubious at the best of times. Ross waving one of those commemorative yellow flags from against the Bills. Studs, I'll come to you. You're great at taking it in the group chat that we're in and dishing it out and finding little nuggets like the Bills, I think, have been favoured more and Josh Allen being favoured more than Patrick Mahomes. What do you guys make of this? Is this just a daft conspiracy? Do you think there's a wee bit of something, maybe not there where it's favourable, but Mahomes does tend to get his fair share of calls going for him. But is that just because of who he is? What do you think, Studs?
I was listening to Mike Greenberg on Pat McAfee's show yesterday, and he actually had quite a good analysis where he was talking about comparing it to boxing, where it's like, if you want to beat the champ, you've got to kind of knock him out. You can't allow it to go to a points decision. If you think about it, how many times we've seen boxing, we think the contenders beat him. That he's beat him in points, absolutely, but the judges have scored it closer and it goes in favour of the champ. Yes. See if you've got a potential 50-50 call. And again, we've seen it with the Patriots. Everybody hated it with the Patriots and Tom Brady and Belichick for years, where those calls seem to go the way and go in favour of the Patriots. It's the human element of it all. There is always going to be mistakes. And again, the obvious one recently is the Texans one, where I actually pointed out that the referee making the call, the two calls in the Texans game, the referee didn't have a great angle on them. And obviously I'm a referee at kind of amateur football level, and it is all about angles. It's literally what you see from that particular angle. the ref's angle wasn't great, so he's looking at it from, well, that's definitely a high hit in the quarterback. And I actually think the first one probably was. The second one, the two Texans players' helmets have kind of came together, but the referee's angle looks like the two helmets have actually hit Mahomes, so you can understand the angle of the referee side of it. The flop one at the sideline will kind of sweep under the carpet, right? We know that was a bad look for Mahomes. There's no getting away from that.
If he didn't flop, he was colliding with something harder than the turf, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, I like that one, Ross. I like that. So, see, for me, I think it is all nonsense. I do think there's probably an unconscious thing where if it's a tight call, I think it is going to go to the champs, which is ultimately us in this situation. And again, you've obviously mentioned the fact that I've said Josh Allen gets more late QB hits, and I think I shared on the group chat of the Josh Allen flops after he gets hit and stuff like that. So Josh Allen is a master of it. But listen, the league is set up to defend QBs, so you can't give the referees an opportunity to throw a flag for a hit in a QB, no matter how light the touch. Yeah. The refs are trained to kind of protect the QB at all costs, because these are the main guys that everybody pays to come see.
I've got to say that when it comes to things like this, you're always quite fair with it, and you do point out whenever Mahomes does flop things like that. For me, it's having gone to see the East Kilbride Pirates last season play, and then we went down to Spurs Stadium to see the Jets and the Vikings play. The pace of the game, the speed of it from these athletes, you can forgive the referees for, as you say, maybe not catching absolutely everything. And I think it's detrimental to them that the game is so well covered on TV. You've got so many different angles. You've got the slow motion replays. Maybe they could do with a wee bit more help from New York whenever they go for reviews and things like that. There could maybe be a wee bit more help for them there, because it's a very difficult job that they've got, and a thankless one at times as well. Ross?
I've been good at referring or referencing football that we know in the UK. Think about the Old Firm. How many VAR decisions do Rangers or Celtic get against everybody else? Like, they have more of the ball, they have more pressure, there is a heavier crowd kind of importance, there's more noise, there's the intensity of all of that is up, it's all elevated. And it's similar with the Chiefs. They've also played more football than any other team for the last 7 years. They've been in more games that are important. So calls that happen, whether they're contentious or not, are going to be there for debate. The Texans ones, I don't even think I'm being biased when I say that. I think both those calls were fair enough. I haven't played the game, I haven't reffed the game. I don't know, put me in a real life situation, would it be fair? I don't know. But like Stud says, the Chiefs can... I want to be careful what I say, because I do not want to jinx this for Sunday. But they're continually playing to the level where they put themselves in that position that actually these calls do become quite important. If we are getting the call, like, the referee can't please both sides. I'll zip my mouth at that. Like, there's always going to be someone that's unhappy with it.
Brad, to you for the final word on the refs, and before we get to your predictions.
Do you know what? Not one of you two has mentioned the stats. The stats don't even stack up that the Chiefs get all the calls. I think it's one of the worst teams for getting actually any calls at all, really. I think you can actually thank Joanne Taylor for that, actually, because a lot of those false starts and stuff are kind of from him. So I don't know. I have daily arguments with a lot of fans from the NFL on Twitter. And I mean, it is a toxic place right now if you're a Chiefs fan. I mean, you can literally tweet anything and you'll get a Bills fan or a Bengals fan or, anybody, coming at you. It's funny, actually. Not one Patriots fan. Not one Patriots fan comes at you. They're like going, fair one. Yeah, being there, doesn't that. So there's a lot of I think there's a lot of respect now, because I used to absolutely hate Patriots. I thought all the fans were toxic, and I thought I absolutely hate it. It's funny when you're on that side of the fence, and you see it from their view. A lot of the time, I'm watching games now, right? And I sit there and I'll watch a game, and it'll be Chiefs and whoever, and I'll know exactly every single moment that people will pick up on, but completely forget that the other team benefited from. They will pick out all of the ones that the Chiefs benefited from, make a note of them, and then just literally put it on there for content for YouTube and stuff like that, and get the clout for that and stuff. And then suddenly it blows up to this big conspiracy, because, like Ross was saying, the Chiefs are in the big games a lot now. We've seen them a lot on primetime TV this year. We're probably going to see them a lot more next year. It's just going to keep continuing and continuing. You are? What's that?
And maybe in Dublin.
Sorry, I'm breaking your
maybe in Dublin. You never know.
So the Steelers they've got a home game against the Chiefs in 2026.
Yeah, so I think because there's more eyes on the Chiefs now, and then the fact that they are going for something historic, I'd like to think at some point after all of this, if the Chiefs do manage to get the three-peat, I'd like to get to the point where other fans or other fan bases look at the Chiefs and look at this run and just add a little bit of respect to it, because at the end of the day, you've got some fantastic players on this Chiefs team. You've got fantastic coaches on this Chiefs team. It needs to have that level of respect, but I don't think it'll have that until they actually retire. A bit like what Belichick and Brady. Actually, can I just say I highly respect Bill Belichick's dating game.
No, I'm going to disagree with you. That's
bow down to that guy. Respect.
Yeah. Flags are thrown there.
Oh wait, I need a red one for that.
A challenge flag. Get the challenge flag out.
Yeah, honestly, the dating game on that guy. Wow. So yeah, I highly respect them now, and it doesn't even pain me to say that anymore, because before I used to be Patriot. Oh, I hated the Patriot, hated them. But like I said, none of them in my comments. None of them are in my comments anymore. So I'm happy.
They're still hibernating. Okay, gentlemen, let's bring this to a close then. Nice, short and sharp. I'm looking for your heart here rather than your head. What's going to happen on Sunday night, 11:30? We're getting kick-off time. Ross, I'll come to you first of all. What's the score going to be, and who's going to be MVP on the night?
The score won't be the same as last time. I'm hoping nobody scores more than 30, because I think if it goes over 30, then it's Eagles. The 3-point game, I can't give an exact score. I think the Eagles by 3.
Oh, the Eagles by 3.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, reverse psychology. I see what you're doing there.
Who knows? There's so many stats flying around. Like Mahomes is 12-0 in domes. The Eagles haven't lost on synthetic turf this season, but you're thinking, well, who have they played on synthetic? And it's who have they played in domes, all that kind of thing. There's so many stats. I think it's two pretty evenly matched teams, apart from maybe that kind of X factor with Saquon. And I think, was that an answer?
You've surprised me there. I was expecting a bit more positivity. Somebody that I know will be positive and rooting for their team will be big studs. What you going for then?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going for a Chiefs win. We're going to complete the three-peat. My bold prediction for this one is that Nick Remigio's going to score either a punt return or a kickoff touchdown. I think he's been so close a couple of times this season on special teams to breaking it off. We almost seen it against the Bills where he broke off an absolutely massive one. I think he's going to get one in, and I will go for. I think I put a prediction on Twitter of 30. I think I went 32-29. So I think we still take it by 3.
3 points.
Breaking the 30 for the second time this season.
This is when you've got to do it. Brit Chief, over to you.
I'm going to go with 28-17 Chiefs because looking back at the Eagles' performances over the season and the teams they've faced over the season, I don't think they've really played anybody. I think they played the Bengals, which were they were neither here nor there really. Were they the Bengals all last season? They had a bit of a flourish towards the end, but the teams they've played, Dallas, Washington, Carolina, Giants, Jacksonville. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by this Eagles team, and they got into the Super Bowl by literally decimating the Commanders. Well, the Commanders decimated themselves, and that's what handed them the victory. So I think all of this Saquon Barkley talk is going to be a bit of hyperbole. I think the Chiefs will handle it pretty well as long as they set the edge, contain Saquon, contain Jalen Hurts. I think that's going to be the key in this, and it's going to be 28-17. And I think we're doing MVPs.
Go for it.
Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt.
Bold.
Yeah. Ross, you said Saquon. Kareem Hunt it is. I think I'd be pretty good.
Be a good story.
The Browns. Yeah. D-Hop as well. Right, okay.
I think I don't want to pick an MVP from the Eagles. If the Chiefs were to win, the D-Hop story, same as Hunt, they would be cool. But D-Hop's not had a huge role, not too much productivity. So it just depends how the Phillies defense goes with zone.
Super. Gentlemen, I wish you the best of luck for Sunday evening. Studs, I'm looking forward to spending it with you. It'll be a fantastic night. Maybe even get you on the live preview that we'll do down at Walkabout on Sunday evening. If you can make it down for 7 o'clock, we'll be hosting a quiz there for any of the listeners there. I think it's sold out for tables and that, so it'll be standing room only if you're looking to stay for the actual game. But looking forward to seeing lots of people. Make sure you come up and say hi to us. Desperate to get out there and spread the word with the NFL community in Glasgow and Scotland and beyond. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Ross, a fantastic debut. Well done, bud.
Loved it.
Enjoy your game. Yeah, enjoy your game with the family on Sunday. Brad, a pleasure as always, big man.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, mate.
And Studs, it's a joy, and it's always a pleasure watching these games with you as well. You just get so into it, but you're like a swan, try to remain calm on that level, but you can see the face just getting as red as the top as the game goes on.
I'm telling you, that shirt's coming off. That shirt's coming off again.
Well, listen, I've got a routine of wearing the same colour, so I'm going white this time. I'll be in the white. I've got the game fit in the wardrobe, ready to go for Sunday.
Oh God, right.
I'll need to set up a Patreon then if we're doing a video of you taps off in George Square. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks very much for listening, and make sure you like and subscribe and spread the word of the Gridiron Crew. We will be back with you on Sunday. Hopefully, we're going to get actually a wee bonus podcast on Saturday with the guys that can't make it to any of the live events with us from the crew. So we've got Stu over in Canada, Brian up the far north of Scotland as well. So we're hopefully getting a couple of the guys together and they can do a wee preview of their own on Saturday and give you their predictions. And we'll be doing a live show on the evening from Walkabout in Glasgow, which I'm very much excited to do. Next week we'll be back, of course, with the breakdown and the analysis of the actual game itself. What a week of football we've got ahead of us, guys. Best of luck to your team. Hope that you have a wonderful evening. And thanks very much for listening.
Thank you. Cheerio.